Now let us continue iron metabolism, right? For better understanding of the anemia, and that too iron deficiency anemia, one has to learn about the iron metabolism, because iron is the very centralized basic thing in the understanding of iron metabolism and iron deficiency anemia. Let us see this diagram. This diagram appears to be very complicated, but as such it is not a complicated. I will just simplify it. See, this is the liver, the right and left duct, common bile duct, the esophagus, the stomach, first, second and third part of the duodenum, jejunum and continued as the intestine. This highlighted area is enlarged here, right? There are so many nomenclature, so many words are written here and there, and that makes this diagram very complicated. It's not so. One important word is apotransferritin, second is apoferritin. These are nothing but the beta globulin, a sort of protein. Let us go into the detail of iron metabolism. Iron metabolism, what exactly that I mean? The absorption of the iron, the transport of the iron, and uptake of the iron. Absorption means absorption in the intestine. The iron has a tendency to get absorbed through the intestinal length. That is the absorption. How it takes place, I will tell you. Second is transport. Once it is absorbed, then it is transported through the blood, and then it is taken up to the desired site. For example, iron absorbed, then it has entered into the blood, then through blood it will go to the desired site like bone marrow, where the erythropoiesis takes place. Right. Let us go one by one, absorption, transport and uptake in detail. When iron is taken, maybe in the vegetarian form, maybe in the non-vegetarian form. The non-vegetarian form has an advantage that it is directly absorbed. It is absorbed in the form of hemoglobin, in the form of myoglobin. Whatever iron is taken, the ferric form, whatever is available, is converted into ferrous form, because only the ferrous form of the iron is absorbed. This ferrous form, this iron, that combines with the apotransferrin. Apotransferrin is nothing but the beta globulin molecule, protein molecule. Where from it comes? It is poured from the liver through common bile duct into the duodenum and all through the intestine. When it comes into the duodenum, the apotransferrin, a protein molecule, combines with the iron. When apotransferrin combining with iron, say this is the diagrammatic presentation of apotransferrin, it is combining with the iron, converts into a transferrin, right? This, let us discuss this. This is now how it gets absorbed. First, it combines with the protein. Second step is that this transferrin get absorbed by the process of pinocytosis. It enters into the cell of this epithelium. It has come somewhere here. Now it has already inside the cell. Now it is passing through the cell, and now the iron is free. The free iron, which is on the opposite side of the epithelium. Now the blood is there, the iron is released. This iron now combines with the another protein molecule. That protein molecule is called as transferrin, plasma transferrin. This iron combines with the plasma transferrin. Now this plasma transferrin along with Fe, iron. Now it is now flowing all through the blood and can be taken anywhere to the body, any organ of the body. Second advantage of this, this transferrin combines with, or this binding of this transferrin with the iron is very loose binding. Whenever it is passing through and going to any organ, the ion can be very well released, delivered at any time to any organ. So this loose binding is very important. Now let us see, we have come to the transportation. Now after transportation, this through blood, it will probably say the target organs could be either liver or it could be bone marrow. When it is coming to the liver, in the liver there is a specific protein. That protein molecule is known as apoferritin. The apoferritin is a large molecular weight protein molecule. And there are various receptor sites on this molecule where the ion is attached. The free ion gets attached to this apoferritin molecule. The number of free ion could be few, could be large in numbers. So there is no specific formula that in apoferritin that 1 or 2 or 3 only they are attached. Multiple number or few numbers of free ion can be attached, and this is in the liver cell, that is hepatocytes, in the cytoplasm of the hepatocyte. And then in the form of, when it combines, this apoferritin combines with Fe, then that is called as ferritin. And this ferritin in the cytoplasm of the liver cell is stored. Now this is actual uptake. This iron is uptaken by the liver and now it is stored in the form of ferritin. Second could be when there is a need for the formation of RBCs. What we say? The generation of RBCs is nothing but the erythropoiesis. For the erythropoiesis, ultimately the transferrin through the blood will enter into the bone marrow. In the bone marrow, again the transferrin will actually take this iron to the erythroblast. Erythroblast is the developing RBC. The developing RBC has no nucleus, but developing RBC has a nucleus. It has mitochondria, it has DNA, and so many other endoplasmic reticulum, and so many other ribosomes and other so many cellular organelles. Before going into much details of the synthesis of the hemoglobin, let us simplify the previous slide. This is rather repetition of what was on the previous slide. Apoferritin combines with the free ion ferrous form to form the transferrin. This is in the lumen of the intestine. Now it is taken up by the epithelial cells by the process of pinocytosis. Then it enters into the blood on other side of the epithelium and iron is released, which was attached to the transferrin. This free ion combines with the beta globulin to form the transferrin. Now it is in the plasma, so it is called as plasma transferrin. This plasma transferrin, to which the ion is attached, but it is very loosely attached, so that it can be delivered to any organ at any time. The target organs or the uptake is necessary at two important places in the body. One is the liver and second is the bone marrow. Let us see what happens to the liver. When it is taken up to the liver, say this is the hepatocyte, a liver cell. This blue, this indicates the apoferritin, and the red dots, you imagine it is the free ion which is attached to the apoferritin. The apoferritin along with the free ion is called as ferritin, and ferritin is the form of the ion which is stored into the hepatocytes, that is in the liver. Second fate of the plasmaferritin could be it is entering into the bone marrow. When it enters into the bone marrow, the erythropoiesis, that is the generation of the RBCs, is continuously going on. And here, this is the developing RBC, which is called as erythroblast. In the erythroblast, there is a mitochondria, there is a DNA. In the mitochondria, the transferrin, the plasma transferrin, which is in the bone marrow, that has transferred to the erythroblast. Now this transferrin handovers the free iron, handovers actually the iron to the mitochondria after entering into this erythroblast. And after handing over, the actual synthesis of the hemoglobin that takes place in the mitochondria. Right? So to summarize that, the plasma transferrin enters into the liver where it is stored in the form of ferritin. When it enters into the bone marrow, it enters into the developing RBCs, that is the erythroblast, where the synthesis of the hemoglobin takes place. Next, after considering the iron metabolism, a complicated one, now we will move towards a simpler form of the chapter, where we will be thinking the sources of iron. The sources of iron can be divided into two. One is heme source and another is non-heme source. Heme source means which contains hemoglobin and myoglobin. Obviously, it is a red meat or poultry or fish. Non-heme sources, they are the vegetarian sources. Mainly the green vegetables. Spinach is very important. Then cereals, wheat, rice and maize. Among the dry fruits, beans, pulses. In this category, walnut, peanuts and hazelnuts are the important. Then among the fruits, banana and apple, and another source is jaggery. I have circled these things, spinach, banana and jaggery, because otherwise cereals, everybody is taking the cereals, but dry fruits, they are costlier, apple again costlier, but spinach is affordable, banana and jaggery. These three are affordable and these are the rich sources of iron. Then how much percentage of the iron is absorbed from heme or non-heme? From the heme sources, the absorption of the iron is up to 30%. But in case of non-heme sources, it is even below 5%. And from the eggs, below 10%. Now, the person who is vegetarian, the absorption of the iron from his food is just 5% or even below that. So, a person who is vegetarian, he is more prone to get the nutritional anemia because of the deficiency of the iron in his food, as compared to the person who is taking the red meat or poultry. We have seen in iron metabolism, we have seen that iron is absorbed, it gets clubbed with the protein and get absorbed, and ultimately it is uptaken by the liver and gets stored or in the bone marrow where synthesis of the RBCs takes place. But the absorption of the iron is not that much simple. The absorption of the iron from the intestine is very slow process. Otherwise, in case if the patient has iron deficiency anemia or he has deficiency condition, could be of any cause, then the liver will be pouring more up of transferrin, so more clubbing, so more and more absorption of the iron will take place. This will be only in that condition where is the deficiency of the iron is there. Otherwise, the absorption of the iron from the intestine is very slow process and it gets absorbed hardly 1 to 2 milligram per day. The excretion of the iron or loss of the iron from the human body, it is lost from the skin, it is lost from the shedding of the epithelial membrane of the intestine, also from the sweats and also from the feces. And the amount of total loss of iron is nearly 1 milligram. It means that if there is a loss of 1 milligram, so there should be the replacement of at least 1 milligram of iron, which should be from all these sources. Every doctor should know the sources of the iron, because when you are coming across a patient of iron deficiency anemia, you have to advise him to correct his iron deficiency, to correct his anemia because of iron deficiency. You have to properly advise the food, or otherwise the patient himself will ask, doctor, you said that I'm deficient of iron and I'm anemic, I need to take more and more iron, then what I have to eat? Then you must be knowing the proper sources of vegetarian sources of iron and non-vegetarian sources of the iron, or heme sources of the iron and non-heme sources of the iron. You need to advise mainly the pregnant woman where there is anemia, they are prone for that, and the another group which are nutritionally debilitated, these are the children. In these two groups, they are prone for the iron deficiency anemia. So every doctor must know the sources of the iron. So could be vegetarian sources, could be non-vegetarian sources, and they should be in a proper position to advise the proper diet to the patient when they are actually treating the patient of iron deficiency anemia. No doubt you are giving iron in the form of tablets, in the form of injections, but it's not the matter of few days. After correcting or giving the proper dose of iron, after few days, few months, or after some years also, if the food is deficient of iron, the patient will again land into the condition of iron deficiency anemia. So it is very important to give the proper advice of the food, and you all must know the sources, proper sources of the heme or non-heme iron from all these. Right? Continue. Okay. Let us continue iron deficiency anemia. It is very important to study the various factors which affect the absorption of the iron. Let us consider some patient is coming to you for the treatment of anemia, that too iron deficiency. What will you do? Definitely you will advise iron or iron containing some tablets. But at the same time you have to ask him to take some food which is rich in the iron. But just advising him to take iron-rich food is not sufficient. Why it is not so? Let us see. The vegetable food that contains so many phytic acid, oxalic acids, phosphates, and it combines with the iron and forms very insoluble form of the compound. And so the iron is not available for the absorption. Now here is the role of vitamin C. In the examination also, you are asked what is the treatment of anemia, especially iron deficiency anemia. You will tell iron supplementation, you will say folic acid, you will say B12, you may say protein also. But most of you forget about the mention of vitamin C. What is the importance of vitamin C? Let us see. The vegetarian food, mainly the cereals and the nuts, or the green leafy vegetables, the fresh vegetable, that contains oxalic acid, and the cereals contains the phytic acid. I will repeat again. The cereals and the nuts, they are rich in phytic acid, and the green leafy vegetables, they are rich in the oxalic acid. Now what happens to the iron? These acids combines with the iron to form some very complex insoluble compound. So there is no iron, because whatever iron was there, that has combined with these acids and a insoluble compound is formed. Now here is the role of vitamin C. What vitamin C does? Vitamin C directly act on this combination, and a soluble form of the compound is formed with the iron, and iron is absorbed. Right? That is the role of vitamin C. So in your prescription, when you are treating a case of iron deficiency anemia, and when you are advising the food which is rich in iron, you must tell the patient to take the lemon or tomatoes or other substances, food substances, which are rich in the vitamin C. Right? That is the very major role of vitamin C. Otherwise, whatever food or vegetable you are eating, it containing iron, but that iron is not absorbed. So here is the importance of vitamin C adding to the treatment of iron deficiency anemia. Let us take second. Here again, calcium intake increase the iron absorption. How? The vegetable, again, it contains lot many of phytates and phosphates. Phytates or phytic acid and the phosphates directly inhibit the absorption of the iron. When it is inhibiting the absorption of the iron, obviously it will reduce the iron absorption. Then what is the role of calcium? Calcium, when there is a sufficient amount of calcium is available, this calcium will combine with the phytic acid as well as the phosphates, and whatever phosphates or phytates available, that will be combined with calcium. So no excess of phytates or phosphates available, which will ultimately otherwise inhibit the absorption of the iron. Right? That is the role of increased intake of calcium, which increases ultimately the absorption of the iron. The third one, excess alcohol intake. Alcohol intake definitely increase the absorption of the iron. It definitely increase, but the story is very bad. The alcohol directly acts on the mucous membrane of the stomach. It damages the epithelium and mucous membrane of the stomach, and through this damaged part of the epithelium, the iron directly enters into the system. So we do not want such agent which will increase the absorption, but that will damage the organ. So for the patient where you are talking about the increased absorption of the iron, that time you must forget the alcohol, because alcohol is not helping you. On the contrary, the alcohol is damaging your organs. So it should not be encouraged. Rather, alcohol, that is just for your knowledge, that alcohol increases the iron absorption, but it is of no clinical or treatment point of view. It should be forgotten. Red meat, fish, poultry, definitely. These are the heme sources of the iron. Heme source of iron means definitely it contains hemoglobin or myoglobin. Why there is an increased absorption? The reason is very simple. Hemoglobin and myoglobin contains iron in the form of ferrous form, and ferrous form iron is the very well absorbed. Bioavailability or the solubility is very high. So the red meat, fish or poultry, it definitely helps for the increased absorption of the iron. Let us see this column. This column, it denotes it indicates that there is a decrease of the iron absorption. Let us see one by one. Gastric acid, tannins, phytates, phosphates, and excess of copper, zinc or manganese. Let us consider one by one. Gastric acid secretion. When gastric acid secretion is less, it definitely reduces the absorption of the iron. But what is the role of gastric acid? The gastric acid directly acts on the complex compounds, vegetable compounds, where the iron is already incorporated. This acid directly acts, the gastric acid directly acts this complex material, and the iron is separated, which is otherwise in the form of ferric form, and this ferric form iron is then reduced to ferrous form, and ferrous form is the soluble form of the iron. So gastric acid has that role. If the gastric acid is reduced, in what condition it will reduce? If the patient has undergone some surgery like partial gastrectomy, or patient is already on some medication like antacids, pantoprazole, Gelusil, ranitidine and so on. So definitely it will reduce the gastric secretions, and when the gastric secretion is reduced, this conversion of ferric into ferrous will not occur, so the iron absorption will definitely be less. Second, tannins or tannates. Tea and coffee, they contain high amount of tannins, and these tannins, if you consider about the tea has a ability to reduce the iron absorption about 60%, and coffee has a 40%. So obviously tannins containing material like tea or coffee, that should be not allowed, that should be discouraged. Next, phytates and phosphates we have already considered when we consider vitamin C. Then excess of copper, zinc and manganese, the trace elements, they are needed, but their presence should not be much in the food, or sometimes patient may be on some medication which contains copper or zinc and manganese. But there is, when they are consumed, here is one thing common that you can see, the valency is 2, 2, 2 and valency of F is also 2. So chemically, when they are absorbing into the mucous membrane, they compete each other. So if copper, zinc and manganese, that is more in number, definitely there will be a inhibition of the absorption of the iron. So this is called as the competitive inhibition of the absorption of the iron if excess of copper, zinc or manganese is available. Right? We will continue further. Let us continue our previous lecture. Sources of vitamin C. I am emphasizing more and more on vitamin C, that we have already studied it. I have explained what is the role of vitamin C. Again, I will say once again, whatever food which is rich in iron, maybe mostly the vegetarian food, which contains phytic acid, it contains phosphates, it contains oxalic acids, polyphenols and so on. All these phytic acid, oxalic acid, all these organic material, they are catch holding the iron, and that iron, that too in the ferric form. Either the incorporated iron, it is not allowing to come out, or whatever iron is there, that is converted into some insoluble form of the iron, and vitamin C directly act on that, and ultimately soluble form of iron is made available. That's what we already talked about. But unless you add in your prescription vitamin C, the treatment of iron deficiency anemia is incomplete. I will again repeat. Vitamin C, we take it very lightly. Probably hardly there should be any role of vitamin C in the treatment of iron deficiency anemia. We are not taking it so seriously. But it has to be taken very seriously and should be prescribed in every prescription of iron deficiency anemia. And some other sources of vitamin C. let us see the citrus fruits. Citrus fruits, I mean lemon, oranges and so on. Kiwis, strawberries, tomatoes, capsicum, cabbage, papaya and cauliflower. I have underlined lemon and oranges and tomatoes. Also cabbage and cauliflower. The reason is very simple. Lemon and tomatoes, these are very easily available and affordable. And cauliflower and cabbage, they are usually a part of our vegetarian food. So this should be kept in mind while prescribing vitamin C tablet. You can also tell them to add this type of fruits or vegetables in their food so that the treatment of your iron deficiency anemia will be perfect. Right? Okay then.